Hello and welcome to the quick summary of the 350cc 2026 KTM 390 Adventure. This was originally discussed in more detail on MotorInc First. If you check it out at motorinc.com, our website, you'll also see the questions from Circles. And in that, Karthik and I had a back and forth about what this bike does, what it doesn't do so well, who should buy it, who should ignore it, all of that. And the summary of that video in the shortest form possible, it's over to Karthik.
Let's go. Okay, so we are talking about the KTM 350cc version of the 390 Adventure, which is based on the Adventure X, which means it's using a 19-inch wheel up front, not the 21s like the 390s up above it do, and that is a big distinction from them. What you're getting here is that same friendly Adventure X motorcycle, which has been accessible in terms of price, and it becomes even more accessible because now the price is only 30,000 rupees more than the 250 version, and that's one of the big takeaways, that for that 30,000 rupee more that you would pay for the 350cc version of the Adventure, you're getting a lot more bike in terms of its travel and touring ability because of the added performance. And yes, the performance is down by 5 bhp, 5 newton meters, somewhere in that ballpark compared to the 398cc engines. But when you're riding this motorcycle, that performance gap is not as apparent. In fact, it feels quite normal to ride. And in terms of ability, what Shumi clarified was that even if you're traveling with a pillion, if you're cruising on the highway, you have enough performance to manage all that work without feeling that drop down. The caveat, of course, is that if you're traveling with a pillion, climbing up inclines and want to do things quickly, you will need to make a gear change, whereas with the slightly larger engines, that would be a more distant thought or not necessary at all, right? So that is a difference that you will feel at times, but it's not a big enough difference for this to be a deal breaker for people looking to get a functional ATV that you want to travel and tour with. And given that it has the 19-inch wheel compared to the 21-inch wheel versions that are the bigger versions, you still have a lot of ability in terms of being able to rough road while still being plush and comfortable enough for your everyday travels and for your tours, right? What you have to remember is that this chassis is unchanged, the suspension is unchanged. So in terms of suspension, travel, ground clearance, how it rides and handles, all of that is the same. The one difference is that you're not getting the sintered brake pads on this bike, which you are getting on the X. You're getting the organic pads, and they always have a slightly soft feel to them. But this is an easy fix. You can upgrade the brake pads really easily, so it's not a deal breaker again. What was interesting was when we were speaking about this in QFC, two things came up which actually clarified the position of this bike for me, for you guys, through the questions that came up in Circles. One of it was that when we spoke about the Duke, we said the refinement, there is a slight difference compared to the 390 Duke versions, the 398cc engine versions, whereas those would kind of calm and settle down more clearly at speed. Here, that difference is not so apparent, which is why he didn't bring it up when he was talking about the bike riding experience in itself. And the other thing that Shumi clarified was, if you are thinking about this purchase from a very emotional place where you're looking for the feels and the vibes, then you should be stepping up to the 390. For everybody else, this 350 version of the 390 Adventure X will be good enough. That's the clear distinction. And whether they're going to be Enduro R versions of it or the S versions of it, you'll have to head to QFC and find out about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's been the 390 Adventure with the 350cc engine.
So that was a quick summary of the 350cc version of the KTM 390 Adventure. If you'd like to know even more about this product, you have three options. One, please go to motoring.com, where you will find all the videos that we make on these products, plus all the specs, the rivals, the pricing, the color options, all of that. The idea of the website was to create a space where you could very rapidly access detailed opinion and information and reach conclusions really quickly. It's not a place to browse and not reach a conclusion. The idea is complete your research. Let's go. Let's get you on a motorcycle as quickly as possible, and in some case cars. Now, second option, you can check out the main MotorInc First episode, which will also have this quick summary built into it as a chapter. Just skip ahead. And in that, we'll spend, I think, 30 minutes discussing why, how they built the motorcycle, who is it for, what does it do, etc. in a lot more detail. When we test it, we have not fully tested this motorcycle as we record this. When we fully test it, this will get broken down into even more detail in our FAQs, usually about a dozen videos per motorcycle, usually about a minute long, and that appears, as I said, also only on motoring.com. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Thank you so much.